Hi guys, you're welcome back to Volmich Fits. If you have been on this channel, I'm sure you already know what we do here. Of course, we learn tips, tricks, and techniques of making beautiful and amazing outfits. Today, we're going to be learning how to make a kimono dress, and that's the picture you see right up on your screen. So, for this dress, I'll be making use of 4 yards, but you can do it 3 yards if you are not on the big side. So here is my own creation of the first picture I put up, and I'm going to be taking you step by step all through on how I made this dress. First thing I did was to fold my fabric in two using the size of the Ankara with the label name. I did this because the full length of Ankara is about 45 inches and the length I want to achieve for this dress is about 50 inches or so. Now I've cut out the fabric I'll be using for the front and the back side with the actual length I will be working with. So what I have here is the front and the back side. The front is about 2 inches more than the back side of the dress. So the front has an opening on the center side, which makes it different from the back side. So you can see me measuring, and I have 2 inches in difference between the front and the back side. I'm going to make sure to have same measurement from the top all the way down for a neat finishing. So the reason why we are having 2 inches extra for the front side is because we're going to be folding this part later on like this. So what I'm going to be doing next is to take my shoulder measurements. All my measurements will be on the back side to avoid any confusion because of the extra I have on the front side. Now I will take my shoulder measurements divided by 2, put a mark down, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. So I'm going to place my tape rule on my shoulder line and mark 1 inch on that point. After doing that, I'm going to rule it across to the center line. Now that I am done rolling this across, I'm going to cut that part off. So for this dress, I'm going to be cutting the back and the front side together at the same time. So this is the shoulder slope for the back and the front side. That is exactly what I'm doing right here. The next I'm going to do is to drag the back side upwards by 1 inch because I don't want the front shoulders to be dragging backwards after sewing this dress. That is why I'm adding extra 1 inch to the back side. So now that I have done that, what I'm going to be doing here next is to take my armhole depth. So after taking my shoulder measurement, I added half inch for my seam allowance. Now I'm going to put down that same measurement here, including the half inch I added for the seam allowance, and that will be for my armhole length or my chest line measurement. That is exactly what I am ruling out right there. Now I'm going to take same measurement on my chest line so that I would have a straight line connecting the shoulder to the chest line. When I'm done with this very part, the next I'm going to do is to take my armhole curve. Please take note of where I placed my tape rule start point. Now I'm going to divide these two lines by 2 and make a point there. Then I'll go in by half an inch for my armhole curve. I'm using half inch for both the front and the back side because I'm cutting these both together. So I'm going to connect it down to the chest line. So what I'm going to do next is to take my bust measurement divided by 4 and I'll put the point down. Take note, I am measuring starting from the back side, not the front side. After doing that, I'll add extra 2 inches for the seam allowance because this dress is not going to be very fitted to the body. So the next I'm going to do is to take my neck measurement, and I'll start with the back neck measurement. I'll come down by 1 and some quarter inches for the neck depth and 3 inches for the neck width. After sewing, the depth is going to be a little more than 1.5 inches, while the width is going to be 3.5 inches. For the front side, I'll come down by 3 inches for the length and of course 3 inches for the width. So I'll connect these points together. This is for the front side. I'm going to connect the points together and then I'll connect the back side together. So after sewing the front neckline, I'm going to end up with 3.5 inches for the width and 3.5 inches for the length, or 3.5 by 3.5 inches for the neck depth and width. Now the next step I'll be taking is my shoulder to waist line. So the shoulder to waist line is 17 inches for this dress. Now I am going to mark it out by ruling a line across to the side seam. The next step I'm going to take is to make a nice curve line from the chest line, that is the 2 inches I have on the chest line, down to the hem line. So marking from the chest line, I'm going to make a nice curve on the waistline and bring it out straight down to the hem line. That is the full length of this dress. So guys, you can see what I have down there. Now we are almost done with measuring and about to cut out this fabric, but I'm going to do something here. I'm going to take my waist measurement. Initially I did not take my waist measurement, that is my round waist measurement, but I'll be doing that right now to see how much extra we have on the waistline. So I'm going to divide my round waist measurement by 4. That is just what I'm doing right here. And after dividing by 4, I'm going to put the point down. This is just to see how much extra I have on my waistline. So this is what I have after dividing by 4, and that should be about 2.5 inches to 3 inches extra. But if you want more gathers around the waistline, then I'm just going to open this part up, that is the waistline, just add some few inches to the waistline and connect it to the hem line. So for this particular dress, I'm going to add some few inches to the waistline because I want to have more gathers around the waistline. So that is what I'm marking right there. But if you do not want that much gathers on the waistline, you just want it to be a little bit free on the waistline, please go ahead and leave the first line we marked right there. Now I'm going to take my shoulder to my hip line and I'm just going to come down by 10 inches from the waistline because that is the shoulder to hip line for this person putting on this dress. Yours can be different from this. The next step I'll take is to mark my round hips measurement and put the point down. That is marking my round hips measurement, which is divided by 4. The extra I have here is about 2.5 inches. So if you do not want too much gathers around the waistline, then leave the first line we made on the waistline and that will be fine for you. But if you want to make some gathers around the waistline, please use the other point, just add some inches to the waistline and connect it down to the hem line. After doing all that, I'm just going to cut out my fabric. Now that I am done with cutting that part out, the next I'm going to do is to connect the point for the front neckline. You know, I measured the front and the back together, so I'm lifting up the back part to connect the front neckline, and that's just what I have done. So I'm going to cut out the front neckline, which I have 3 by 3 inches on the measurement. Now I'm going to cut out the armhole curve for the front and the back part. So guys, I will separate the center front into 2. Remember, the front is divided into 2, which makes the difference between the front and the back. Now the extra for the front is going to be folded in like this, and also the back shoulder line. After doing all that, this is what we're going to have, as you can see that right here. So let me take the back part off so you can see the front part very well. I mistakenly cut too deep into the armhole, but don't worry, I'm going to fix that with the lining. I'll take this away to cut out my lining, and this is what I have after cutting out my lining for the back part, that is the back side. So you can see the lining, I cut it down to the hem line. Yeah, so one other thing I did for this dress is to fuse the neckline with interface because I want it to be a little bit firm on the neckline. That is what I did for it. I'm going to do the same thing for the lining. I just want to show you guys exactly what I have done first. So now this is the front side for the dress. I also fused the neckline with interface, and I'll do the same thing for the front lining. I cut the lining straight to the hemline and also corrected the armhole curve that I cut too deep on my main fabric. Now let's go over to the sewing stage, and I'll be showing you guys two methods to use in sewing this dress. This is the first one, which is sewing your lining together with your main fabric. So I'll place my lining on my main fabric like this, and the first thing I will be doing is to fold in my center front by 1 inch first, and then fold in again by 1 inch, which is the 2 inches we left for the allowance. Then stitch this down from the top to the hemline, and after doing that, go over to fold in your neckline with a bias tape, join your shoulders together and also the side seams together. But that's not the method I'll be using for this dress. I'll show you guys what I'll be using. And the method I'll be using for this dress is sewing my main fabric separately and my lining separately to cover up the rough edges in my dress. So I'll put the front part and the back part together like so, with the right sides facing each other. First, I'll stitch my shoulders together. This is what I'm going to have after stitching the front and the back shoulders together. Remember, I added extra 1 inch to the back shoulder line. I added extra 1 inch to the back shoulder line, and I did not add any seam allowance for the front shoulder line. So that extra 1 inch is going to cover up for both the front and the back seam allowance. After doing that, I'm going to join the side seams together. This dress is going to have a side pocket, and I'll show you guys later on how to go about that. And also it's going to have a little opening from the hemline upwards. I'm going to have the opening of about 10 inches or 11 inches. I'll show you guys what to do. So after stitching the side seam, I'm going to stop here and leave this side open. But you can go ahead to sew straight down if you don't want any opening by the side. So remember what I'm doing here. I'm having a side pocket. So the first step I'll be taking is sewing my shoulders together. I'm just going to put the shoulders together so you can get this very clear. After doing that, I'll sew the side seam, stop by the waistline where I'm going to have my side pocket. I'll measure out the inches for my side pocket and then continue down to the hemline. So now this is the back part of my dress. Now it's time to sew the linings together. I'll sew the front and the back linings together, but remember, I'll be fusing interface to the neckline. I'll be using paper stay for the neckline. Then join the shoulders together, join the side seams, but for this there will be no openings for the pocket. This is going to cover up the rough edge in my main fabric. I'll sew this down to the hemline, and just like I have opening for the sides of the main fabric, I'll be doing the same thing on my lining. So I'll take the same measurement like I did for the main fabric on my lining. Now take this away to fuse interface for the neckline, and then we'll go over to the next step. All right, I have sewn the front and the back main fabrics together, and this is what I have after stitching the front and the back main fabric. You can see exactly what I have here. I've not gone ahead to press my seam lines open to have a very nice look. I'll do that after this. So this is what I have, and I'll show you guys what I have for my lining. So any step I take for my main fabric is just the same step I'll be taking for my lining. Since I'm sewing the both piece apart, the next step to take is to join this on the neckline. That is where I'm going to be joining these both pieces together. So I'll take my lining and place it on my main fabric with right sides facing each other, starting from the center front. You can see how I'm placing it. So I'm going to place it like so all through round to the other side of the center front. Guys, please, when doing this, make sure to check that the shoulder lines of the main fabric and the lining meets on the same point, and then you continue sewing down to the other side of the center front. After sewing the both necklines together, then you open this up and top stitch on the lining so that your lining will not be coming out from the inside of your fabric. Alright guys, I have gone ahead to sew my lining to my main fabric. The next step I'll be taking is to fold in the center front. But before that, this is what I have. You can see how the lining is separated from the main fabric, covering the rough edge on the shoulder line, and the same thing is what I have inside of this dress, that is the side seam. Now I'm going to be adding my pocket to my dress, and from my waistline I'll come down by about 4 inches. From that 4 inches I'll mark 7 inches downwards. My pocket is going to be 7 inches wide open. So what you need to do is to place your hands widely open, that is your fingers widely open on that point, to know how much space you are going to open up. So I'll take this away to cut my pocket. See what I'm doing right here? I'm placing my fingers widely open on my fabric, but this fabric is about 10 inches in length and the other side of it is about 10 inches in width. So I'll just go ahead to place my fingers on the fabric. Make sure it's reaching up to your wrist and covering up your wrist a bit, and open your fingers wide open to mark the points for your pocket. So this pocket is going to be like a C curve shape. That is how this pocket is going to look like. So I'll mark the points opening for the pocket right now. You see how I opened up my fingers, because I want to have enough space in my pocket. I don't want to put my fingers, or I mean my hand, into my pocket and I cannot open my fingers up, so it won't make any sense having a dress like that. So I'm going to spread my fingers like you can see, and then mark out the space for the pocket. Meanwhile, where I have my wrist is going to be 7 inches wide open, but I'm going to add my seam allowance for the part where I have my wrist. So I'll measure this up and I have about 8.5, and I want this to stop at 7 inches after sewing my pocket to my dress. So I'm just going to mark out where my pocket is going to stop exactly, and know that the other part is going to be for my seam allowance. When I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to cut out my pocket. Open this side up in two, because it's going to be one for the front side and one for the back side. I'll use this to cut the second side of the pocket. Now the next is to attach my pocket to my dress. Now you can see the space opening on my main fabric, that is my dress, and I'll go ahead to take a piece of the pocket that I cut and join it together with one side of the dress. First, I'm going to join one piece of the pocket together with the front side of the dress. So please make sure to check for the back and front of the pocket, so you do not turn this over to the wrong side. Now this is how to place the pocket piece on the sides of the dress. So I'm going to place the right sides facing each other, the right sides of the pocket to the right side of my dress, and then stitch together. After stitching the both piece of the pocket to the dress, I'm going to sew the both piece of the pocket together in this very direction. You can see the direction I made on the piece. I'm going to do this for the both sides of the pocket, and then I'll bring it back to show you guys how it looks like. So I've sewn in my pocket to the side of my dress, and this is how it looks like right now. You can see the opening, and trust me, you would barely know there's a pocket opening if my hands are not right in the pocket. So guys, this is how it looks like on the inside of the dress. You see how I use the lining to cover up the wrong part of the dress, that is the wrong side of the dress where I have my stitches running. Unlike the first method I talked about earlier, well, my stitches would have been showing outside. Then see how the pocket is on the inside, it is fully covered with my lining. So with this also, you would barely know there are pockets in this dress. All right, let's move to the next step, which is sewing the center front of the dress. Just like I mentioned from the beginning about how to fold this center front, that is just what I'll be doing here. I'll fold this in 1 inch and then fold again in 1 inch. After that, I'll make a very nice and clean stitch from the neckline down to the hemline to hold this part together, then give it a very nice press. So guys, this is what I have done so far. I have gone ahead to stitch the center front, you can see that, and I also gave that part a very nice press with my pressing iron. So guys, you can see how this dress is looking beautiful already even before finishing it. Now it's time for us to fix in our sleeves. So I'm just going to take the round measurement for my armhole. Here I have about 12.5 or 12.5 inches for the round armhole, and this is what I'll be using to cut out my sleeves round armhole. And this sleeve is going to be a little bit curvy on the side seam. The full length I have right now on this piece of fabric is about 25.5 inches. That is what I have right here. Now I'm going to take the measurement for my cap. I'm marking down 4.5 inches. It is 4 inches I'm marking, then half inch for my seam allowance on the top side. After that, I'll take the shoulder to the elbow measurement and I marked down 12 inches. On this line where I marked 4.5 inches, I'm going to take down 10.5 inches, which is 2 inches different from my round armhole measurement, and then connect from the top of the sleeve down to this part. So you can see how I made the curve from the top of the sleeve, and what I'm going to do next is to make a very nice curve from the armhole area to where I have the elbow marked and down to the hem of the sleeve. So guys, just see how I'm making the very nice curve for the sleeve. I don't want to make a straight cut for this sleeve. That is why I'm making a nice curve from the armhole down to the hemline of the sleeve. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to add 1 inch allowance for the side seam to stitch my sleeves together. So guys, I hope you're enjoying every step of making this beautiful kimono dress. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead to click on that subscribe button to stay updated on new tutorials that I'll be posting soon. Here I'm just taking the round measurement for the armhole to be very accurate with what I have measured and marked down. So here I have 12.5 inches, as you can see. What I'm going to do here next is to fold in the hemline, like you can see right here. I'm going to fold it like this and then stitch down together. You can also add lining to your sleeves if you want it to have a little bit of weight. After doing all that, I'm going to hold the side seams together. Now it's time for us to fix in our sleeves to the dress. So before sewing the side seam of my sleeves, I'm going to check from the measurement marked. I'll place it on my dress to be sure it is accurate with the armhole of the dress, and here I have it very much accurate. So I'll go ahead to hold the side seam of the sleeves and then fix it to the dress. Alright guys, we are totally done with fixing the sleeves to our dress, and this is how beautiful it is looking. Take note, I have not pressed yet with my pressing iron. That is why it is a bit rumpled. So I'll go ahead to do that later on. Next and the last to do is to cover up the rough part of this hemline by folding this part in like this. Just go ahead and fold with about half inch. Fold in half inch and then fold in half inch again, like you can see right here. After that, we're going to open up the little slits on the sides of this dress. Remember, we have little slits on the side of this dress, so I've just sew my hemline to this point that I'm marking right here and then open up this slit for my dress. I'll go ahead and mark the length I want to open it up to and then fold it in a little, just like I folded the hemline. I'll fold the slit that way. After doing that, I'm going to complete sewing the hemline for the dress. Please remember, this side slit is not compulsory. It only depends on what you want, and we are going by what we have as our style inspiration. So guys, we're totally done with making this very beautiful kimono dress, and I also made a beautiful black belt for the waistline of this dress. I'm going to measure the length of this black belt for you guys to see. I did not cut it on camera, so I'm just going to measure this out for you guys. And what I have here as the full length is about 75 inches. I first measured 60 inches and then I'm measuring 15 inches, which makes 75 inches. Now this is going to be for the waistline, but according to our style inspiration, what they used for the belt was same fabric as the dress, but I decided to make mine with a black fabric. And that is all for this very tutorial. So if you find this interesting, please hit on that subscribe button if you are not yet subscribed. Also, please like and share this video so more people can get to see this and learn for themselves as well. All you need to do is hit on that thumbs up button you see right there, and then click on the notification bell so you get to see more of my tutorials to continue this learning journey with me. So for now, I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye.